Alright, welcome back to... That's right, you guessed it! Another trailer reaction! This time we're going to be looking at Hellboy. And I understand this movie's been, or this trailer's been getting a lot of shit. People complaining about Hellboy. How he only seems to be... How it seems like it's a horror movie featuring Hellboy. I know they didn't like his design, I think. People are just shitting on it in general, saying it looked cheap. That may be true, but also it only has a budget of 20 to 25 million. I know that sounds like a lot, but compared to most movies nowadays, it seems on the fairly low end, especially with Hellboy. I think it was 2019. It had a budget of 50 million, so twice the amount. So as long as the special effects look better than the CGI and the 2019 Hellboy, I think we'll be in good shape. Because there were moments in that one where it did look good. You know, when I think it's like the demons or just the monsters are walking through the town, and that one's like stepping on people, collecting bodies as he goes. That scene was actually pretty good. It's pretty harrowing as well. But then you have like the troll scene, or no, not the troll. Is it the trolls? Yeah, when they're like hunting the trolls or whatever, and it just, man, that's some of the worst CGI ever. But anyway, getting lost in the sauce here. So, I guess the screenplay is from the creator of Hellboy, Mike Mignola, is that his name? So, I think that's definitely a bonus there, because if you like the comics, I've read a few, nothing too consistent, just kind of here and there. So if you have read the comics and you enjoy those comics, just know that the creator is a part of this movie. He's, writing he wrote the screenplay. So there's definitely that. It has that on its side. So the creator being involved is always a plus, and most stuff you'd want the creator involved if possible, just that way you get a clear vision and a clear story, a clear plan of what they're trying to do. So comic accurate is always going to be a bonus, and I know that the creator, and I forgot who else, they said it's going to be focused more on like horror folklore, which is a bonus in my book. I love horror. But the fact that he said he's focusing on comic accuracy and being true to the source material, that is a bonus yet again. So I can understand where, people hate on it for the look or whatever it may be, but it seems like they're putting forth quite an effort with this movie, so I could respect that, and I'm willing to give it a chance. But enough of me rambling,
Bro, the sign is real simple, B. It says wrap it up. Wrap that shit up, B.
I gotta get to it. Let's see what we're in for here.
Something in these hills. Something haunted. Evil. It smells like death.
See, I do like how it's all grimy and grungy looking, and it does have that whole folklore look to it. So I dig that. It kind of reminds me of like The Witch.
Evil. It smells like death.
Her face is insanely intense. My goodness. But that was Hellboy talking. His voice didn't necessarily stand out. Not like a Ron Perlman or even David Harbour.
How do you know that?
Dark things called dark things.
I see, from the creator of Hellboy. So, that Dark Things, what was that?
Dark things called dark things.
I don't know if that's like a tagline from the comics. If so, then alright, but that's kind of cheesy and some fairly off-putting writing.
I heard tales about him all my life. Most just called him the Crooked Man.
That whole Now you know I'm really scary. My neck does creaks. It's like, or cricks.
Most just called him the Crooked Man.
See, I feel like that's just kind of overplayed at this point. I forgot which Conjuring it was. Was it Conjuring 2 that showed their Crooked Man? The way he moved in that was actually pretty skin crawling, because it was more like stop motion, not just a rehash of how Samara moves in the ring. But overall, hey, I'm intrigued in this so far. I mean, there are a few things that I complained about, but overall, it looks good. It doesn't necessarily look cheap, in my opinion. They may have put the money where it matters. Okay, that's kind of rough. That was off-putting, definitely right there. It kind of reminds me of Evil Dead 2013 when Mia, I believe her name is, gets trapped out in the forest and unfortunate things happen to her. So that is very intense, and it explains why she had that face earlier. So it definitely seems very horror-based, or horror-focused. They're definitely wanting to step away from the action aspect. And as far as his design, I think it looks okay. I mean, I don't think it necessarily looks terrible. It's not that different from Ron Perlman's. I know people are going to hate that I said that, but I think it looks better than David Harbour. David Harbour just kind of looked a little goofy in my opinion and didn't necessarily stand out as like Hellboy. But with him, I would say just maybe make the brows a little bit more, not bulbous, but bulging. And then I think you actually have a really good design here. And I'd prefer practical effects any day, which all Hellboys have been practical, so I'm glad they're keeping that trend going. That's a pretty cool little shot.
You've got company.
Kind of seems like if someone actually put in an effort for Jeepers Creepers Reborn. Kind of get that feel like this is a high budget version of a low budget movie like that. The acting seems pretty impressive. I mean, the way that woman is putting across that trauma is unsettling to say the least.
All your friends. Hey, all.
Oh, dear Lord. Practical effects, I'm digging it.
All your friends. Hey,
They all gonna die. All your friends, they all gonna die. So yeah, the dialogue is definitely shaky in this. You can tell they're trying to make it not epic, but memorable and
You've got company.
or quotable even. It's not
All your
working out too
friends.
well.
They all gonna die.
Alright, so I can see what people are saying as far as dialogue goes, and Hellboy himself, he doesn't necessarily seem to stand out, even though he should. This Hellboy just seems a little too lackadaisical, because I know Hellboy's pretty laid back, but us viewers, us fans have grown accustomed to him being a loudmouth, especially with Ron Perlman's. And I know you want to set yourself aside and, bring something different to the table, but at the same time, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But overall, I'd say the dialogue is definitely shaky, a little cheesy at times. You and all your friends are gonna die. And it's just kind of like, I feel like you could have said it in a better way. And like I was saying, Hellboy just seems a little stale. Hopefully, with the next trailer, it expands on his portrayal of the character. Hopefully it expands on it, not exposes it, because there's also that, option as well. And it may look a little cheap at times, but I prefer practical effects over heinous-ass CGI any day. I'm a 80s, 90s, and a little bit of 70s horror fan, so I'm definitely for the practical effects. But the bonuses, it seems horror focused. Seems like they're definitely focusing on the folklore horror. And I'm excited to see what the Crooked Man looks like, because I watched a couple videos about the comics and he's pretty fucking terrifying in that. So hopefully that definitely carries over into this movie. I'm glad they didn't show too much of him, just a little, thing. But I'm glad they didn't like straight up show him, because that kind of tells me that they have faith in this movie, and they're not just willing to give away everything just to be like, well, see, you want to see it now, don't you? See, we showed you enough. So that's definitely a bonus there. The creator being involved, I mean, if you love what he created, I don't see how this won't be a good movie as far as for the fans. And I think we're definitely in a time where we need to focus on the fans instead of the broader audience. And that may be scaling down budgets, but I think it's a smarter decision, because then your fan base will grow over time, but catering to the actual fans and not just doing complete fan service the entire time, bringing something different to the table that still caters to your fans in a way. But I think it's time to focus on the fans, so hopefully this is just kind of the Kickstarter for that. So the creator being involved, I definitely think it's a bonus, and it gives me a sense of ease when it comes to this movie. And then also it seems unforgiving and relentless. Hopefully they didn't show too much in the trailer. Hopefully, all the good bits aren't here, but the whole snake scene with the girl, and I don't want to say too much because it is pretty gross, but where it's coming out of, or where it's going in, and what it's doing to her, and then just how everybody seems just full of despair and hopeless and really dependent on Hellboy, it seems. Seeing a lot of carnage, a lot of death, a lot of wicked imagery, religious stuff. So I definitely think it's going to set itself apart from the other Hellboys in a very positive way, because you can't duplicate what Guillermo del Toro and Ron Perlman did together. And the 2019 Hellboy, I mean, that's not going to be the standard for anything. It's just one of those throwaways. Seems like it was a cash grab. But let me know what you guys think down below. I think people are being a little too harsh. Sometimes they just like to hate on shit. And there's plenty of stuff to hate, don't get me wrong. But when people are trying to give something the fans they want, or give the fans what they want, it may not look the best, but at least there's an effort being put into it. It could be like all these Star Wars or Disney or whatever other...
You better wrap it up! You better wrap that gavel up, B.
I don't know. Overall, I thought the effects were alright. Let me know what you guys think down below. Appreciate you guys tuning in. To my subscribers, love you guys, and remember, stay spooky.